on a very big tax cut, but cannot do that until we keep our promise to repeal and replace the disaster known as Obamacare. We got to get this done before we can do the other. In other words, we have to know what this is before we can do the big tax cuts. We got to get it done for a lot of reasons, but that's one of them.
The Republican health care bill is the first of two big tax cuts that the Republicans want to pass. The second tax cut bill has not been introduced, but a very vague outline of it was presented by the Treasury Secretary just before the end of the president's first 100 days. And no one in the United States Senate seems to be taking that part of the Trump agenda very seriously yet, anyway. Some Republican senators have told the House of Representatives not to pass the health care bill because the Senate won't act on it. And one group that seems to be tired of not winning anything that they might be hoping for in the Trump agenda is Wall Street.
Stop. Please, please don't make changes to your portfolio based on things that get blurted out literally every 5 seconds of the day. Do not trade this news.
That seems to be the growing sentiment of Wall Street executives about what the president says and tweets. Here's what a senior executive at one of the country's 6 largest banks told Reuters: "I don't take Trump seriously. I'm listening less and less." Aaron Cutler, a regulatory lawyer who lobbies Congress on behalf of banks and hedge funds, told Reuters, "Until it's signed into law, you can't bank on it." Aaron Cutler adds his clients have yet to act on anything that the Trump administration says. Joining us now, Stephanie Ruhle, MSNBC anchor who also covers business news for the network. Stephanie, here's what's fascinating about Wall Street from where I sit. They vote every day. They vote with dollars every day. They vote with investment choices every day. They don't get to sit back and to think, I can ignore what's happening in Washington. I can ignore the president for 4 years and then decide 4 years from now how I'm going to vote next time. They vote every day. They usually hang on every word the president says, and now they're casting their votes every day on what they're investing in by ignoring the president?
What is so beautiful about what you just said is why many people were enthused about President Trump. They said President Trump is going to get us out of this ideologue space, this Washington gridlock, because businessmen, traders, Wall Street guys are pragmatists. They've got to play ball every day, and they thought this would be a man of action. So you're right. Right after the election, through the transition, you saw a lot of whipping moves. He was the only president who moved markets before he was elected. He'd mention a company, you'd see the market jump. But day in and day out, he makes these proclamations, whether it's over Twitter or when he speaks at the microphone, and then quickly his own team is qualifying it, restating it, and the market is simply sick of it. You know, you spoke about that Wall Street lawyer. That's exactly it. People are suddenly saying, you know what? We'll hold on. When he said 2 days ago he would seriously consider breaking the banks up, at any other time, you would see the bank index drop like a stone. It went down for a bit, and it almost immediately recovered because this is a man who makes a lot of noise, and we've yet to see much action. In his accomplishments for first 100 days, he kept talking about optimism. Optimism is a feeling, and he has created a feeling of optimism on the street, but that sure ain't an accomplishment.
Stephanie, there's always been some voices in Washington who can move markets. Always the chair of the Federal Reserve, always Wall Street hangs on every word. Sometimes the chairman of Ways and Means, chairman of Finance Committee, the tax writing committees, but only when they've got a tax bill actively moving through the committees does Wall Street hang on every word that they say. But it's always been, it has always been that Wall Street hangs on every word the president says that is relevant to them. And the president is basically instructed on that on day one and feels the pressure of being really careful in everything that the president says because of that pressure. Donald Trump obviously doesn't feel the pressure, and Wall Street has adapted.
Lawrence, you've nailed it. When the Fed chair speaks, he or she understands the weight of their words, and they couldn't be more careful or private down to the last moment. The president loves that he can swing things around, and the fact that you are getting less and less volatility off of his remarks, he's not going to like that. And it is also going to be harder for him to take credit for these booming markets. If you actually look at the positive momentum, You've got great corporate earnings. Jobs are good. This is the continuous momentum we've gotten since, since President Obama was elected. Has GDP been slow? Has growth been slow? Sure. And the idea that we have a pro-business president and deregulation is exciting, but we haven't seen anything except executive orders written. And the only thing executive orders are a reason to write a report. They don't do anything.
Yeah, there's one Price Waterhouse report indicating, making some predictions about the Trump agenda. One of them says executive orders will yield few results. They also predict that Dodd-Frank will not be repealed. Low expectation for change. Midterms, they say, will put the brakes on further action because those congressional elections are probably not going to go President Trump's way.
There's a very strong chance that that is the case. And the one thing to remember, you mentioned earlier, traders have to play ball every day. There's a big difference between a corporation saying, based on President Trump's promises, I'm hiring 10,000 people, I'm building a factory. Traders can buy on news and sell on news. They're in completely liquid markets. So when you look at the actual market, it is not a direct reflection on what the economy looks like. It's one of the reasons so many people were frustrated in the Obama administration when Obama said we've had such a strong recovery. Well, it was strong in cities like New York, LA, Chicago, but other parts of the country that wasn't the case. So now when the president is taking all the credit for this booming economy, you're not necessarily going to say, yep, Mr. Trump, that's all related to you. It's not the case.
Stephanie Ruhle, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And of course, Stephanie will be in the anchor chair here tomorrow at 9 a.m. as she is every day. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.